The American James Bond, Alan Ritchson compares Reacher to 007. The name is Reacher, Jack Reacher. In a conversation with Entertainment Weekly, Reacher star Alan Ritchson spoke about his series' ongoing success with viewers and how much Reacher's adventures compare to the exploits of a certain fictional British secret agent. "It's funny, I kind of feel like Reacher is the American James Bond, and I've never had more fun playing a character," he admitted, describing himself as a fan of those larger-than-life, over-the-top action thrillers and spy movies, and the heists that are smart and ahead of the audience. "That's really great, but I feel like Bond, to me personally. People are going to hate me for saying this. I love Bond, but I feel like it's all a little misogynistic and predictable at this point." Besides his character's chic and more confrontational tactics, Ritchson felt that what helps Reacher distinguish itself is how each season frames Reacher as a little less purposefully cool in key situations. By that, he added, Reacher isn't in on how slick he is. "I don't feel like we can have characters these days that are in on the joke. Either they know that they're funny, they know that they're smart, they know that they're very cool or capable or invincible. I feel like it reduces the stakes of stories, and we've seen too many movies. We're too savvy as an audience to be entertained by that." Reacher Season 3 is in production on Reacher Season 3 is currently underway, with Ritchson disclosing in February that they are nearing completion on the next chapter in Reacher's life. The new season will be inspired by author Lee Child's novel Persuader, and with the exception of Reacher and reoccurring ally Frances Neagley, Maria Sten, feature a clean slate of supporting characters. Confirmed actors include Anthony Michael Hall as businessman/potential suspect Zachary Beck, and Johnny Berchtold as his son Richard, as well as Roberto Montesinos, Sonia Cassidy, and Daniel David Stewart as D-Agents Guillermo Villanueva, Susan Duffy, and Stephen Elliott. Ryan T., who previously starred opposite Ritchson in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Out of the Shadows, will also have a reoccurring Season 3 role as Quinn, an ex-military figure from Reacher's past. Along with Reacher, Ritchson's next role will be real-life soldier Anders Lassen in Guy Ritchie's upcoming action film, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. While a replacement for Daniel Craig in the James Bond franchise hasn't been announced yet, reports suggest that Aaron Taylor Johnson is being considered for the iconic 007 role. When you think of the name James Bond, what immediately springs to mind? Suave sophistication, a mastery of weaponry, and an indomitable sense of justice are all traits synonymous with the world's most famous British secret agent. Yet, as Alan Ritchson portrays Jack Reacher on screen, a new question emerges. Could Reacher be considered the American version of 007? Ritchson himself has made this comparison, drawing parallels between the character he embodies and the legendary British spy, albeit with some uniquely American twists. To understand this comparison, it's crucial to delve into the defining characteristics of both Bond and Reacher, exploring how each represents their respective cultural ethos while simultaneously transcending it to become larger-than-life figures. The James Bond archetype. Since Ian Fleming introduced James Bond to the world in Casino Royale, 1953, the character has become a symbol of charm, style, and deadly efficiency. Bond is a man who moves effortlessly between the world's elite, sipping martinis and making smooth quips while battling adversaries from nefarious criminal organizations. Bond's allure is rooted in his duality, a ruthless killer when necessary, but equally capable of seducing women and navigating high society with ease. One of the hallmarks of Bond's character is his association with cutting-edge technology and weaponry. The infamous gadgets provided by Q Branch have saved Bond from numerous predicaments. However, these gadgets are not merely tools. They represent Bond's adaptability and his ability to turn the modern world to his advantage. His sense of duty to the British Crown and his unwavering patriotism also position him as the ultimate embodiment of British values on a global stage. Yet, Bond isn't without flaws. He is often emotionally detached, a man who struggles with intimacy beyond fleeting romance, and he is deeply aware of the dangers and moral compromises his profession entails. This complexity only heightens his mystique, keeping audiences engaged with each new iteration of the character. Enter Jack Reacher. The American response. Jack Reacher, on the other hand, represents a very different kind of hero. Created by author Lee Child, Reacher is a former U.S. Army military police major who has chosen a life of rootlessness. He has no permanent address, carries no possessions, and lives by a strict personal code of justice. Reacher doesn't operate within the confines of an organization like Me6, nor does he adhere to the strict protocols of law enforcement. Instead, he serves as a one-man army, dispensing justice in a world he sees as increasingly corrupt. While Bond is an icon of British intelligence, Reacher is a quintessentially American figure, rugged, independent, and self-reliant. He's less concerned with appearances and more with results. Where Bond might charm his way through a room, Reacher will barrel through it, using brute force if necessary. He's not interested in blending in with the elite. Instead, he thrives in small towns and forgotten corners of the country, where injustice often festers unseen by larger institutions. Despite these differences, both Bond and Reacher share an unyielding commitment to righting wrongs. They operate on their own moral compasses, both willing to cross lines if it means protecting the innocent or bringing down those who exploit others. For all their contrasts, these characters are united in their fight against corruption and their determination to make the world a safer place. Alan Ritchson's take on Reacher as the American Bond. When Alan Ritchson stepped into the role of Reacher in Amazon Prime's Reacher series, he brought his own understanding of the character's identity and appeal. Ritchson's Reacher is a physically imposing presence, standing at over 6 feet tall with a muscular build that commands attention. This physicality sets him apart from the more polished, debonair Bond, emphasizing Reacher's reliance on his body and instincts rather than technology and charm. In interviews, Ritchson has noted that Reacher is very much an American take on the James Bond archetype, albeit with significant differences in approach. While Bond often operates within a world of espionage, government secrets, and high-stakes international diplomacy, Reacher's battles are often more personal and local. He deals with everyday criminals, corrupt officials, and small-scale conspiracies that affect ordinary people. Ritchson also sees Reacher's independence as a key factor in this comparison. Where Bond is beholden to the British government, following orders and carrying out missions assigned to him, Reacher answers to no one but himself. His sense of justice is personal, forged in the military, but refined through his own experiences. He's not bound by rules or red tape, which gives him the freedom to act swiftly and decisively, often in ways that Bond, constrained by his role as a government agent, cannot. However, Ritchson is quick to point out that this comparison doesn't mean Reacher is simply an Americanized version of Bond. Reacher's appeal lies in his grounded, no-nonsense approach to problem-solving. He doesn't rely on high-tech gadgets or sleek vehicles. Instead, he uses his fists, his wits, and his military training. In this sense, Reacher is perhaps a more visceral hero, one who engages directly with the physical world rather than manipulating it from a distance. The American versus British ideal. The comparison between Reacher and Bond also highlights the broader cultural differences between American and British heroism. Bond's suave sophistication and global connections make him a symbol of British diplomacy and soft power. He is, in many ways, a reflection of Britain's historical role on the world stage, a player in international politics and espionage. Reacher, by contrast, embodies a more individualistic, frontier spirit. His travels across the United States echo the classic American Western, with Reacher acting as a lone ranger figure who dispenses justice in lawless towns.